Thanks for those who stayed with us, and welcome to those who have just joined. The second part or the second session of this workshop will be chaired by Dr. Wasil. This session will include 4 talks, and Dr. Wasil has got a BSc in physics from the University of Khartoum in Sudan in 2004, MSc in biophysics from Al Nilan University in Sudan in 2007, and a PhD in biomedical physics from the University of Antwerp in Belgium in 2013. He also worked as a part-time postdoctoral fellow in the University of Antwerp from the period from 2013 to 2017. He has more than 10 publications in reputed journals, and also he has a 15-year academic experience in teaching in higher education institutions. So the mic, I would like to hand over the mic to Dr. Wasil. Dr. Wasil.
Thank you, Ms. Asia Saidi, for the introduction. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you, and good afternoon to our esteemed guests and participants. Firstly, I would like to take the opportunity to pray to Allah Almighty to accept our good deeds in Ramadan, and wish you a blessed Eid in advance, inshallah. Coming back to start, it's my pleasure actually to welcome all of you once again to this workshop on the e-learning assessment methods and good practices, and which started this morning, and actually it was in Arabic, the first very informative session. As all you know, that it wasn't an easy job to shift in no time from traditional teaching learning process to online distance learning due to the COVID-19 pandemic. No doubt, all academic institutions all over the world faced many challenges actually to maintain the best practices in learning process in general. Nonetheless, assessment comes at the top list when we speak about the challenges in order to maintain the quality of learning and awarded certificates at the end of the day. However, always challenges, as we know, bring opportunities. Actually, to meet together today to share the knowledge and experiences from different universities with different traditions and academic practices is one of the good opportunities that for sure will lead to strengthen the quality of teaching, and will at the end we will come up with the good recommendations for the future, inshallah. In continuation to what has been discussed this morning, I'm so pleased to invite Dr. Biju Said from the Department of Computer Science, College of Arts and Applied Sciences at Dhofar University, to shed light on how to reinforce e-learning standards. Dr. Said is a highly experienced higher education academician with more than 25 years of experience in the field of computer science and information technology. He specialized in higher education management, consultancy, research, teaching, and many other things related to higher institutions. His research area is artificial intelligence, and he published more than 40 publications in various reputed journals. And he received more than 100,000 Omani Riyal from TRC to conduct research. And aligned with our workshop topic, actually, he recently developed a unique methodology to measure the learning outcomes in an outcome-based education environment, specifically at higher educational institutions. And this is registered as a patent in computational methodology toward attainment of graduate attributes and program learning outcomes in an outcome-based educational system. And this also now is converted into a software titled Learning Outcomes Plus. So actually, I'm very happy to welcome him to present and to share his experience on this. So the floor is yours, Dr. Biju Sayed.
Thank you. Thank you. Highly appreciate Dr. Wasil, and let me thank everybody at the university for having given me the opportunity to present my talk. Highly appreciate. Thank you very much. So without wasting any time, because we have limitations of the time, I will straight away go to the presentation. I hope that I can share my screen with your permission, Dr. Wasil.
Yes, please, Doctor, go ahead, and you have 20 to 25 minutes, and then inshallah we will follow by 5 to 10 minutes for questions, inshallah.
Sure.
All the best. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Highly appreciate. Can you see my screen, Dr. Wasil and everyone? Can you?
Yes, it's clear
okay,
now.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So I am going to present a talk on reinforce e-learning standards through learning outcomes base. Whether it is traditional education or online education, whether it is traditional assessments or e-assessments, either way, today I will be focusing more on the practices, the good practices based on institutional vision, mission, values, objectives, and so on. Because institutional initiatives is what we need to achieve finally at the end through the teaching and learning processes. So I am going to present here a very innovative, unique, and smart assessments, management, and evaluation system. As Dr. Wasil rightly said, I developed a patent. Actually, it's a methodology to measure the graduate attributes, program learning outcomes, course learning outcomes, qualification frameworks, technical and vocational competencies. This software will help us measure everything, all the criteria as we expect. So this is the introduction. Definitely, this software is in the final phase of the testing, and inshallah, hopefully within a month, the software will be out for demonstration and presentation to the institutions. Definitely, I'm planning to do it across Oman in all the institutions. So this is what it will do. It will measure the graduate attributes, program learning outcomes, course learning outcomes, frameworks, and vocational competencies. So in an outcome-based higher education institutional strategic initiative, such as its vision, missions, and values, the key traits that are directly associated to the execution level are the graduate attributes, program learning outcomes, course learning outcomes. And I will say, to go deep, but there is something called assessment performance criteria. Assessment performance criteria are, again, subdivisions of course learning outcomes. And in addition to that, the qualification frameworks and the vocational competencies as expected by the industry, that is also very crucial. So apart from that traditional education, with the online education, now this has become very challenging. So as I said earlier, either with the traditional education or the online education, this has to be achieved. As of this day, In my knowledge, based on various researchers and confirmations, I understand that there is no such tool across the globe that scientifically measures all these attributes. So that was the reason that made me to develop a patent, a methodological system, and that turned into a software learning outcomes base. So if we talk about assessment methods in e-learning, assessment generally is a process to evaluate the knowledge and skills gained by the students. Not only gained by the students, what has been delivered by the academicians. Well, so I can say delivered and attained. Delivered represents what has been delivered by the academicians, the professors, and what has been gained by the students could be termed as attained or achieved. So as I said before, whether online or physical, it is very important to evaluate the dimensions, GA, PLO, CLO, and vocational competencies. Whether it is through formative or summative assessments, either way, it is very critical. And we also know that the grades given to the students in the assessments across the globe, it does matter. Grades are not just artificial numbers. Basically, it demonstrates the knowledge and skills gained by the students. So that's what we believe, and that is how it goes across the globe. So we have to be more authentic in terms of grading as per the learning outcomes based system. In e-learning, I will just point out some assessment methods, that is online quizzes, dialogues and live participations, peer evaluations. These are the basic methodologies used in e-learning. Task-based simulations, projects with formal demonstrations, open-ended questions, online interviews, critical thinking-based questionnaires, problem-solving case studies. As I said, that it is too challenging in the online environment. So these are the specific general assessment methods used across the globe in the e-learning process. Now, what is the problem? The problem is that educational institutions across the globe are struggling. They are unable to scientifically measure the graduate attributes, program learning outcomes, and the course learning outcomes. They do it, but there are different methods. I will come to it later on, but then it is not measurable. Technical and vocational competencies are usually left behind in an academic environment. You can understand what I'm talking about. We do teach our students based on the syllabus, on the expected outcomes, but again, technical and vocational competencies are not covered. That is what required by the industry. The strengths and weaknesses of courses and academic programs are not scientifically identified or addressed. We teach courses, we teach academic programs, but we are still not aware of what are the strengths and weaknesses based on scientific evidences. National, international qualifications framework guidelines cannot be fulfilled or improved. And these are not my personal statements. These are the statements and these are the views from various academicians across the globe. Now, until the quality of education is perfectly delivered or scientifically measured or benchmarked and improved, your institutional strategic initiatives such as vision, mission, values cannot be stopped, cannot be achieved. Institutions are unable to highlight the strengths and weaknesses of its graduates. Assessments need to be formally and scientifically and authentically mapped and tracked. Now, the question is how to do this, how to measure this. As I mentioned, the solution, one of the best solution that we have developed is Learning Outcome Blaze. It is a very unique, innovative software to reinforce the educational standards and improve the quality of education. Of course, it uses assessment. It's a methodology, and it uses smart assessments, management, and evaluation systems. Okay. So the invented software, Learning Outcomes Blaze, what does it do? It calculates the amount of course, we have to enter the data perfectly, and then finally it will calculate the amount of graduate attributes, PLOs, CLOs, APCs, which is not mentioned here, assessment performance criteria. It will perfectly evaluate. It will identify the strengths and weaknesses of each and every student registered in the course or the academic program. It will identify and compare the efficacy of delivery and attainment of each graduate attributes and each learning outcomes. Like how, for example, if we have 5 or 6 graduate attributes and we have around 10 to 12 program learning outcomes, and we have hundreds of course learning outcomes. So for each graduate attribute, each program learning outcome, and each course learning outcome, it will show us how much it has been delivered and how much it has been achieved or attained by the student. It will identify the strengths and weaknesses of courses and academic programs, so we can further improve upon the courses and academic programs. It will help us evaluate the effectiveness of course contents that is delivered in line with the course learning outcomes and the assessments. It will evidently support the correlation between the delivered and attained statistics, like how much has been delivered or how much the faculty has taught or delivered via assessments and how much the students have gained. And of course, it can be used for quality assurance processes at any university or college across the globe. This is the conceptual and logical framework. So my research is already going on. I have published around 3-4 papers already in reputed journals in this area, and further is coming up. So this is the basic conceptual and logical framework of the learning outcome place system. Now, across the globe, if you ask me, are institutions following or trying to do this? Yes, of course, everyone is doing it. But usually traditional practices like self-appraisal, instructor opinions, questionnaires, feedbacks, observations, interviews, peer analysis, these are the traditional methodologies. But then if you ask me, are these methodologies influenced? I will say yes. Feedback. When you ask this, for example, let's take a simple example. When a faculty asks the students to fill up a questionnaire or give a feedback on how much learning outcome has been attained, I think, in my view, the students may be influenced, and you're not going to get the right figure. So either way, the point is that there is no such scientific or measurable methodology. So that is the reason we have developed the system, and it totally works on the assessment grades. And it's a systematic methodology to be applied. Now, before and after developing the system, or during the development stage, I was in touch with various stakeholders across the globe. Let's say around 300 plus international academic experts. And almost everyone is impressed, and they are waiting for this product. That's what they told me. They are anticipating for such a product. The main strength of the product is that it is built on patented methodology, so it's not built for any commercial purpose. And it is purely scientific. It is not just based on the views of personals and the academics. Of course, it takes on that criteria too, but then again, it is purely scientific, and it works based on the grades received by the students. The application of the system reflects upon the expected or target quality of education. Once you apply the system, it will demonstrate the measure of attributes and learning outcomes, how much has been delivered and attained, and thereby we can always develop upon the quality of education. As I said, the stakeholders across the globe, they feel that this is too exciting and promising, and they are waiting for the product because it identifies the strengths and weaknesses of the students' academic programs, courses, and definitely it will be used in the quality assurance processes too. From an economical perspective, of course, when you do something, what is the economic perspective or the impression? Definitely, when such system is applied, the quality of education is raised, it's improved. And what we can do is we can see upon highly capable graduates. Thereby, you can see less unemployment ratios. You will have a lot of capable graduates because you know the strengths and weaknesses of each and every graduate. Quality of education has been increased. That means you are going to have capable graduates. Unemployment will be reduced. And then you can improve and benchmark the quality of education. Thereby, you can attract foreign investments. Build on self-support strategies, thereby saving on external consultancy or external support. Usually institutions, they seek external consultancy and support to develop upon the quality of education. That could be minimized. And you can produce better quality services to raise the standards of community and nation. And you will have a better, highly capable human capital, which is the ultimate aim of any nation. The highlights are that here the learning outcomes based software is an outcome of academic research based patented methodology. As I said, it is not a simple ERP system. It is not a simple LMS system. It is a research based patented methodology. It is an authentic academic tool created, designed, developed by, of course, it's me, my colleagues, everybody has given a solid input to this. It is a tool that incorporates a hard-earned academic experience of more than 25 years in the higher education field. It is scalable and compatible and could accommodate any demands of any educational institution. Of course, that institution should work on outcome-based educational system. Learning outcome-based software engine process compiles its data using 100% academic and scientific standards. And of course, academic institutions, colleges, universities, institutional accrediting agencies, and all the associated agencies could use this system effectively. Now, based on the research, it is found that there are no direct products. That's what our research says, because we have searched a lot across the globe. I'm talking the entire globe. And there are some indirect products. But again, those products are not specifically developed or designed to measure the outcomes and attributes. Those are basically ERP system and learning management systems like Moodle and stuff like this. So we have not found even a single product across the globe that does this job. So the conclusions are, there are few indirect products, but that does not stand any close to our product. Our product is very unique, very different, and it's just the only one and the only product. And of course, it contains professional experience and academic experience of professionals and academicians. And the knowledge and skills to develop the system is shared by academicians who are from first world countries across the globe, like USA, UK, Europe, Canada, New Zealand. I had my colleagues who have supported me in developing this system. Now, what is the specialty now? As of now, there is no such direct the software that exists, and institutions are looking forward. It is the right time for the right product. Yes, to make the system work, it has got a specific data collection guidelines that should be systematically followed. Data has to be perfectly entered. You know that any IT-based or computer software system has got the input, process, and output. So input has to be perfectly provided, given, or entered. And the processing will be taken care by the system, and it will give sufficient reports to develop upon the quality of the education. As I said before, the current traction, when I publicized this idea and the concept across the globe, is people and academicians are telling that's a great idea, excellent, interesting, exciting, much needed, inspiring, awaiting, looking for, need a demo, please. And this is what I have been receiving the calls. So that is the current traction. Please do take the contact and let me know if I can be of any help to UTAS Sohar and across the Oman. And I will be happy to give you a demonstration in this regard. Thank you very much. Highly appreciate your valuable support and time. Any questions, please?
Thank you, Dr. Piju, for the nice presentation. And actually, I appreciate the time you really take the concentrate of the times for the presentation, only less than 20 minutes. Thank you for that. Now the floor is for the questions. If someone has any question, you can write it in the Q&A box, or you can raise your hand up, please. Please. If you can make use of the time, Dr. Piju, to make a demonstration of the show, a demonstration of the software, it will be good till if someone has a question.
Yeah, Dr. Vasil, what happens is the software is undergoing the testing phase. Yeah, let me shed some light on the software.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay. So in fact, I was doing the research for last 8 years in this field, 8 years. I registered the patent in the year 2017, if I am right. That was first that provisional patent in 2017, and then I registered the permanent patent in 2018. And after registering the permanent patent, the idea was like the methodology is there, but it is not been applied anywhere. So why don't I develop a software? So when you talk about a software to convert a methodology into a software, we are talking about a huge investment. You can understand what I'm talking about. But somehow, alhamdulillah, with the support of my my colleagues, I was able to outsource the development of the software. Software was outsourced to a professional company 1 year back. The product has come to me for testing last month. After testing the product, there were some minor issues, minor bugs, so it's under the testing stage. And let's say within a month, I will be getting the true product, because we have already started putting in the real data for the testing. So it's the beta version that I have, but again, it's under the bugs removal stage. Possibly in 2 months, I will have a demo version with me, and I will be happy to demonstrate you and your team at UTAS, at Sohar, or across the Oman. I'll be so happy to give a demonstration. So you need to give me a time of around 1 month for the demonstration, Dr. Vasil.
Thank you, Dr. Piju, for this information. And for sure, it will be great for us to see the demonstration of your software, and also to know more about the results. So I'm looking for the questions of other participants to come. One question. Yeah, you can read it. Yes, please.
Yeah. Since most learning so I'm reading the question now. Since most learning outcome GES is in the non-technical fields are soft skills based, how are we assured this software accurately measure? Again, Dr. Randolph, when we design a course and when we prepare an assessment, the instructor knows that what is the best way to assess any learning outcome, because when you give an assessment, you are going to specify that which grade. No, okay, let me come back to my system. So what happens is, based on our system, when you design an assessment, you need to specify in the assessment that which graduate attribute does this assessment questions reflect. Let's say there are 10 questions in one assessment. So question number 1, which graduate attribute or which program learning outcomes or which course learning outcomes, that the instructor is the boss of a course in our belief. So the instructor provides which question of the assessment is mapped to which program or course learning outcome or the graduate attributes. Now, based on that question's weight, grade, again, the instructor is the responsible person to evaluate how much grade to give, in what area to give, which learning outcome and attribute is linked or correlated. So finally, instructor is the person to determine the weightage. And that is what he or she is. So again, as I said, data entry is required. So instructor is the person who will be entering the grades with respect to the mapped graduate attributes and program and course learning outcomes. So instructor is the person who designs the assessments, who evaluates the students, who grades the students. Of course, we grade. In every course, we do grading. So instructor is the person who does this, and he is the person to extract the grades from the system. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Randolph. I'm sure once I demonstrate the system, and once you see the system methodology and the inputs and the outputs in the form of reports, I'm sure that will impress you a lot. Yeah. Thank you very much. Highly appreciate.
Thank you, Dr. Bijo, for the answer, and I really appreciate your presentation. Thank you very much for the valuable presentation. Now we go to the third presentation, actually, because the second one, he will be late a little bit for some reasons, Dr. Hazim. Now we will take the opportunity to welcome Dr. Amir Al-Habsi to present his talk on online personalized auto-graded assessment. Dr. Amir Al-Habsi is a Deputy Dean for Academic Affairs at the International Maritime College, Oman, and now he's the acting dean. Prior to join the Maritime College, he worked as academic staff at the College of Engineering at Sultan Qaboos University. Dr. Amir has a very rich CV full of publications and many activities, so I feel sure to introduce him. The floor is yours, Dr. Amir, to present your presentation, inshallah. And as you know, you have 20 to 25 minutes, and then after we will have 5 to 10 minutes for discussion, inshallah. The floor is yours.
Shukran. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'll be talking about a particular tool, software, which we use at the college, at Maritime College here. And it's used across the globe on assessment, especially math, but it can be used for other modules as well, other courses, but it's very specific to math and engineering, physics, chemistry, but it's not that good in social sciences. So it's web work, mainly for math, as I said. Okay. So in traditional assessment, we have problems, mainly unauthorized collaboration, that is to say, cheating, academic integrity issues with students. And there's also the issue of grading is time consuming. So the system will overcome this. It does the grading automatically. And I'm not talking like multiple choice, it does automatic thing. No, I'm talking about doing integration, doing differentiation and solving all kind of problems automatically, very powerful engine. And then it takes, I mean, the current system do not take advantage of computer capabilities. For example, if we just do, I mean, particular questions, if we have, for example, a large question banks, we can know, the system will know how many percentage of students who answer each question. So it will know the difficulty of each question. It can know the, how each question differentiates between students, how the guessing. So we can talk about IRT models in a minute, okay? So it's, the system is an online assessment. It can provide delayed or instant feedback to the students. And it's personalized, that's the key. It's every student get different questions, yet they are same question in a different manner. Again, it enhances academic integrity issue. So again, the traditional method, in paper-based, we have cheating, copying, especially if it's online, uninvigilated. We have all kind of problem with this. The system that I'm going to demonstrate is web work. It consists of a huge question banks in different areas of mathematics. Plus now they have even for electrical engineering, computer science, and other subjects. I think physics now is also, there are some problems in physics, which means that staff can create his or her own problem sets or can use existing problems. So there is no need to recreate problems. In many cases, for example, courses like calculus, single variable, or pre-calculus, these are probability. These are standard off-the-shelf courses that you don't need to create problem from scratch. You can use existing, because it's a collaboration between hundreds of universities around the world, and the instructors from different colleges, they contribute to the question bank. So you have thousands of these questions in different areas. You simply select a particular question and the system will generate a question for you. And every student gets a different question. And I'll show you what do I mean by that. So let's talk about the traditional paper-based. Let's say I have find the area of this cuboid, and the length is 2.3, width is 4.6, height 4.2. So this is traditional, and all students will get the same answers. Very easy to cheat, very easy to copy from each other, collaboration, unauthorized collaboration, and this happens. Okay. If we use software like Moodle, for example, or Blackboard, I didn't use Blackboard, I'm sure it has capabilities. Then you can specify, find the volume of this cuboid, and then I can say, for example, the length is L, width W, height H, and the system will automatically generate different values for every student. This is one step which helps reducing the cheating, but it's not really the solution, because it's only half of the solution. It's personalized. Every student get different, because the system will generate randomly different L, different W, different H. So every student get different numbers, and it's a good step. And this is already available with the current LMS like Moodle or Blackboard. But I'm talking about something that does much more than this. Okay. So let me give an example in calculus. Again, sorry for people who are not in sciences, but this is hopefully it will give you the idea what the capabilities of the system is. Let's say part of the learning outcomes for this particular problem is to solve a problem by partial fraction decomposition. And I have a problem like this: find the integral of this expression, 3 over x squared plus 5x plus 4. Okay. Now, what I want to do is give the same problem to different students, but students get different, not only numbers, but different identities of the problem. And it will reduce the chances of them cheating. Okay. So let's decompose this problem and let's look how it looks like. Okay. So I can decompose f of x into, at the end, it will be a, capital A over x plus a plus b over capital B over x plus b, and I can find these expressions. So I can find what is a, what is b, what is small a, small b, and this basically is similar to this problem here. Okay, so if I know what my capital A, capital B, and small b, then I can make any problem in this format. And let's say the particular learning outcome for this is that I don't have a repeated pole, so that A and B are different. So the system can be programmed to do something similar to this, not exactly. Every student will get different numbers, so that student, when he logs into the system will generate, for example, small a is a random number, say between 1 and 8. B is a random number. You can select the range that you want from 1 to 10. It can be integers, for example. And you ensure that A and B are different, so that if they are the same, you can make B is equal to A plus 1 or plus 2 plus another random number. And again, capital A, capital B, they be generated randomly different manner. So if I have this variable or these constants, the small a randomly generated for each student get a different one, then the system can create the expression like this. Since I know all of this, I know I can create this expression so that every student get different number. So the students will get different questions. Every student will look, even though these are different problems, but they cover the same learning outcomes. And this will limit student cheating, and it will enhance, by the way, it helps student collaboration, and that's what we want. It helps them to collaborate in a way which is the kind that we want to encourage, proactive collaboration, not in terms of cheating. So even though all these problems, they look different, but they cover the same learning outcome, which is factorizing a polynomial, let's say a second order, and solving by partial fraction decomposition. And the nice thing about this is that staff, since the system knows internally, does not show these, of course, it knows what A and B and small a, small b for each of these problems, it can provide the answer automatically, instantly, at the same time. The staff does not have to do anything. The system will grade and student automatically and provide the grade directly to the staff. Again, it can work in different areas. So let's say linear algebra, for example. I have a question. Let's say I want to find the two vectors. I want to say find the norm or find the distance or angle between. So again, I can say let U is one vector and V is another vector, and we're going to find for example, the norm or the angle. The system can be programmed to generate these numbers differently, but it can provide the answer instantly, so that you don't have to do a grading. It will save a lot, and it will enhance academic integrity. Again, this can be applied in different areas. By the way, I repeat this, staff do not have to learn programming or to do any of this programming. There are already thousands of questions in this format. So if you get a question like this, it means it will generate different numbers for every student. You don't have to do anything. You just select the type of question you are interested in. And by the way, the software is open source, free. All you just need to do is either to install it on your servers or subscribe to the company or to the Math Institute in the US, which will provide the service for any college, for the university, for example. Again, if you ask question in probability, so you can have a question. These are standard questions. That's what I'm showing. An urn with 7 red balls and 5 blue balls. 4 balls are drawn without replacement. Calculate probability that exactly 3 balls are red, at least 2 balls are blue. Again, you can change all these numbers, or it can randomize all of these for different students, and even these can be changed. And again, the system will do automatically grading because it knows for each student what these numbers are. Okay, and again, as I said, you can provide instant feedback, and you can provide a delayed feedback depending on the policies of the department, of the college, of the university. So since it's providing different problems for every student, so the problems are personalized, the system can provide the answer, even though the questions are different, but it can provide answer for the specific version student got. The answer is either in PDF or in LaTeX. The system has an engine which is it can understand different notation for the same number. For example, if you put 3/2 or 1.5 or 1 and 1/2, it will understand that these all mean the same thing. Or if you put 1/√2 or √2/2, it will understand these are the same thing. So it's not like, if there is simplification, the system will do simplification, and it will correct it. It will know it will accept any of these. So if the answer is 1/2, or you enter either of these, it will accept it. You can integrate it to Moodle, to Blackboard, so that students do not have to leave existing, if they have the username and password in Moodle or Blackboard, they can simply just, staff can just add a link to the problem, so that, and then the grade will be fed back into Moodle or Blackboard. Again, just like any LMS, you can set the start time, end time for the assignment. And okay, this is important. When we do traditional paper-based, we have, sometimes we do partial credits. And partial credits are problematic, is that a student perceives them differently. Student always will say, I deserve more partial credit. In this sense, there is no partial credit, and that's the disadvantage. However, as a replacement for that, you can allow multiple attempts, and this is what's used in most universities across the globe, is that you can allow multiple trials. So a student can try once, twice, or you can say 3 times for each question. Okay, so this will compensate for the partial credit. As I said, this is, okay, you have that. So as I said, we have question bank from different areas. The nice thing about the system is that it maintains statistics for each question, so that you know, for example, this question has been answered correctly, or has been asked in 275 universities, or this question has been answered correctly from first attempt by 68% of the students. So that, you know, for example, this is a quite easy question. Or another question, you can see, for example, this is answered correctly by, for example, 45% of students. You say this is a little bit difficult. So this is the idea of using big data, so that it understands, it collects answers from different students, and it maintains statistics, how many times a question has been answered correctly or wrongly, or offered or not offered. In the US, it's used in many colleges. This is just a screenshot of the northeast of the US, and all these universities are using the software. In the Middle East, I've seen this is the latest picture. Plus, we have to add our college, IMCO. We also use this from 2 years now, and it's quite good. It's very, very successful program that we have here. Again, if the University of Technology, Applied Science, we want support in installation. I mean, I can provide that help or train the staff to do this. We really, really like the software. We think it's helping us a lot. We can also do collaborate in research. For example, if let's say the university want to apply or to use the software, so you can have, for example, controlled experiment. You can apply it, for example, in 1 or 2 sections, and in another 2 sections, you do not use this, and compare the results, how are students performing, those who use this and those who do not use this. We cannot do it here because it's already standardized at all classes, so that's really not possible. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amir, for taking the time very carefully, actually. Very nice to see many experiences from different schools, let's say. And today I see there are many softwares that can make the things easy for us and for the students, of course. So the floor is for questions. Dear participants, if you have any questions, please feel free to write it in the chat box or in Q&A, even you can raise your hand up, and then you will be unmuted to drop your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Please go question from Dr. Amir, please. Doctor, you mentioned the learning management system. So which one is the one you have tested it with? You're using Moodle or Blackboard? Sorry.
Okay, the system is independent from Moodle or from Blackboard. However, you can integrate it if you want, but it can be done either as a standalone system or as integrated with Moodle or Blackboard, but it's up to the choice of the individual colleague. Here we have it independent; it's just run standalone. At the college we use Moodle, But the system right now is independent. We did not integrate it with Moodle.
So I understand that you have created your own server. On that server, you have created logins for your faculty, and they log into that server and then use it through that server. Are they log into that WebWorks server in the USA, or everything is working from your?
No, we installed it here locally at a server here.
Locally.
Just
okay. Yeah,
very small server. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
There is a question in the chat, I understand.
Yes, highly appreciated. Thank you for giving the, okay. How do you provide cheating in the descriptive type of question? As I said, this is mainly for mathematical or science problems in which you specify different numbers for students. So it's not more of for descriptive kind of question. So it's mainly for numerical integration, or even let's give an example. For example, in chemistry, for example, calculate how many, say, moles in 500 gram of a particular element, for example. So it can vary from, you instead of the 500, you can vary, change it different number of grams or the mass. Instead of a particular element, for example, iron, you can make it randomly so that it generates from, instead of iron, can be aluminum, can be nickel. So that's how it is. But for a descriptive kind of question or essay, no, this is not the proper tool for essays or for that kind of question. No.
You test, sorry for interruption, you test it and it doesn't work for sure, right? Because sometimes even in numerical, you need some questions, descriptive ones. Then are you using a separate platform, or how you tackle this challenge?
Okay, what you can do is you can have problems that you, as an instructor, you can grade them, or the system, you can just ask us that you would do the grading manually. But it's the engine does not really understand what's called understand the language so far. It's really, it's not doing it. Okay, about programming, I didn't use it for programming, for example, in C++ programming. However, I know there are questions in computer science. So maybe I'll create some problems in computer science and send it to UTAS for you to test the kind of. By the way, I can create 2 or 3 classes for 2 or 3 staff from the university, and they can log in, they can test the system from our side. I'll just give you username and password, and you'll be instructed for this. Definitely I can do this.
That would be very nice. Thank you. Yes, that would be a great help. Yes.
So the last question from Dr. Senker about, does it allow us to contribute to enhancement of the system with our own questions?
Yes, definitely, yes. It's the system allows you either to use from existing questions, and these are huge questions. However, if you want to add your own question, you are welcome. It allows that. You can put your own questions, and you can contribute the question to the question bank, so other colleges and universities can use it, so that you contribute to the bigger world, what's called knowledge. So yes, or you can make it locally, only a question for that particular university or that particular college. Yes, definitely it can be done. Let me show you, share something else. Let's see. So this is an example of what a student can receive, for example. So this is, for example, a question in math. Again, apologies for those not doing math. But you see a question like this, okay? I can vary the function that I'm integrating. I can vary this constant here, and I can vary the limits of integration. And this is particular. And so the system will be varying for every student. So even though it looks this problem for me as a student, but different student will get different numbers, 1 to 7 or whatever. Okay, and I can preview the answer, and also I can ask correct or check the answer. It can give me the answers right away. So the system is quite flexible.
Thank you, Dr. Amir, for the nice presentation and to give us something new for us today. Thank you for the answers for the questions as well. Now, I think we move to the presentation of Dr. Ihsan Al-Haq about the future of assessments in mathematics. So it will be a continuation to what you have shown, Dr. Amir, about mathematics. Dr. Ihsan has a PhD in mathematics from University of York in the United Kingdom. He has an academic experience of more than 20 years. He joined the college here in Sohar or UTAS now since 2015. Dr. Ihsan has a keen interest in technology in education and in particular electronic assessment. So now I invite Dr. Ihsan, the floor is yours to present your presentation, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wasil. Thank you very much for having me. I'll share my slides in a second, please. I'll share my whole screen maybe. Yeah, because I have to switch between the two. So can you see my screen?
Now it comes, yes, please.
Okay. Right. So I'll jump straight into to give you a shock again to show you a mathematics question. It's about e-assessment, and the moment we hear the word e-assessment, electronic assessment of mathematics, the first thing that pops up in our mind is a multiple choice question like this one, because that's generally we assess mathematics when we are using a computer. That's the most used way, by far the most used way to use.
Sorry, Dr. Ihsan, I think you need to speak a little bit louder because I hardly hear you. Is it only me or the others? I don't know.
Is it any better now?
Yes, much sounds better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. So whenever we say e-assessment, in particular in mathematics and in most cases in engineering, we think of e-assessment as MCQs, because again we have to think of the ways how do we get the mathematical input otherwise. So that's what I will talk about today, and a special software which can do it. So this question on the screen is a multiple choice question. It has a correct answer. It is a debate that whether we shall use or shall not use, and how much do they cover for. But again, at the end, in my opinion and in many people's opinion, multiple choice questions in our sciences, they cannot cover everything, as Dr. Amir has just presented, that this web work also uses fill in the blank questions. They give a blank and student enters the answer in the blank, typed. That is very important for mathematics and engineering. But again, for WebWorks, it gives a keyboard, and also it has a database of questions. We select from them. And as Dr. Amir mentioned, that we generally do not need any programming skills to make questions in the WebWorks, because that programming is done in, I believe, in Perl, so which is a very specific language, if we really need to make questions. So this one, so let's say we have this question. What if we want to give feedback on this one? That's my concern. How do we give feedback on this one? How do we improve analytic abilities of our students? How do we stop this reverse engineering students can do with an MCQ? It gives out a hint. Clearly from the answers, it gives out a hint. Also, to construct a very good question with very good distractors, very effective distractors, it will take quite some time for even a single question. Otherwise, we'll just put in anything if we are short of time, and that won't serve the purpose. For example, the first point, feedback. Let's say a student attempts the question and it is incorrect, and we say it is incorrect. That's all the feedback we have, wide and large. But that's not enough. For students' deeper learning, if we go one step further, let's say if we spend more time on a question and we give a general feedback for the question. Is my screen readable? I have to, just a second, please. So let's say if we go one step further and add a general feedback at the end of the question. But then again, of course, we have told them that how the answer works and what is the rule, and that's the correct answer. Okay, fair enough. That's better than nothing, indeed. But still, a specific feedback can help a student much more than this general feedback. For example, why my answer is wrong. Okay, that's the correct answer. But what exactly is wrong with my answer? I think that the student in this attempt has used the power rule for differentiation. Once again, apologies to those who are not in mathematics. I'll continue doing these mathematics examples. So why I cannot apply power rule on this question. So then let's say if we go one step further and we give a specific feedback that is possible in many learning management systems, Blackboard, Moodle, and many. So we can add a feedback with every single option we have given. For example, in this case, I've added a feedback with the option rather than at the end. So now student selects an answer and then we tell him why this particular answer is wrong. And then also, of course, we can add the general feedback, what is the correct answer and how that works. So this is much better than the previous two cases. But then again, it raises a question. How many questions will a faculty be able to construct with this approach? It is going to take a lifetime I'm sure, to write even 10 questions. Writing specific feedback with every single option for every single question for 10 questions, that makes 40 feedbacks for 4 options. So almost practically impossible to do that. Now, how do we handle this situation? Once again, there is still a discussion which is open for me, that whether we shall go for an MCQ or the fill in the blank. I would rather go for the fill in the blank. But then that raises more questions. How will fill in the blank work? So let's say now I'll go to my screen here. You can see the screen.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah. So let's say this question, a very simple question, 1.dx. It's an integration question. It has many answers, many correct mathematical answers. For example, the first possibility is, let's say student puts X and then submits and finish. I have generated this question with the standard fill in the blank approach available in Blackboard. This one is Moodle, but also it will work same in the Blackboard. Now I've put X and answer is correct, yes. But the question is, how far can I go with this approach? Can I use complicated functions? Will my learning management system, any of them, will they be able to understand what function have I put in? For example, let's start the same question again. And now another correct answer for this question is also X space plus C. I have given a couple of options for this question. So I'm hoping that this will be, you see, this is a correct answer, X plus C. Now, the only problem is the options I have given as correct answers, they are without space. And the learning management system is treating my correct answer as a string of characters, like X without space plus without space C, that's the correct answer. Now, learning management system is unable to understand that this one is exactly the same as that one without spaces, because it doesn't have mathematical skills built in behind this engine. So the correct answer is marked as incorrect because the limitations of the system. And you can guess, if I make it a little bit more advanced, even for this simple, it didn't work. Little bit more advanced, it won't work at all. For example, let's go to this example. Now this one is derivative of sine AX. If I put A sine and without any spaces, without any, and then I check, it can compare the string and it can find out that it is the exactly same string which I've given in my answer options. But once again, if I put one space anywhere, like students can, for example, a student can write a space sine AX, which is a correct answer to this question. And then let's see what our learning management system says. If we put this one, it is incorrect. So that is a very big limitation when it comes to mathematics questions. Why do we almost always choose multiple choice questions? Because fill in the blanks questions do not work the way we want them to work in standard setting. So how do we make them work, or how we can make another problem, how students can type? Let's say if we can make our learning management system learn, I'll show you this example next, this one. Yeah, okay, so it says integrate cos 5x with respect to x. Let me put the answer 5. I'm going to use slightly different notation. I'll explain why I'm using slightly different notation, why I'm putting sterics. Okay, let's submit and finish. The derivative of your answer should be equal to the expression. I think I've made it wrong, incorrect answer. You see, that's why I tell my students to read the question first. Okay, well, actually it was on purpose. I want to show you something. I have put a wrong answer. Clearly, I have differentiated the expression rather than integrating the expression. But that's a very common mistake, actually. Interesting thing is, how does the system know that I have differentiated it? The answer, the feedback says, the derivative of your answer should be equal to this, whereas your derivative is this. So you must have done something wrong here. Now, how does it work? Let's try again, and let's put this time, okay, start again. And let's put 1/5. Fine. 5x. Submit and finish. Oh. Well, also, okay. In the question setting, we have put that the student must enter C. You see, you need to add the constant of integration. So, okay, if I put C, I'll copy paste because now it's the correct answer. Otherwise, and submit. Right, that's the correct answer. But what I want to show you is this one. I have put the correct answer with a constant of integration as C, and now it says it's a correct answer. What is the difference with this one and the previous examples I've shown you with the standard fill in the blank question? Let's start again. And I will put this time slightly different version of the same. Let me put +2. Now, by string comparison, it's a different answer. It's not C, it's +2. Let's see what our system says. Okay, no, it wants C particularly. Okay, the setting this time. Actually, it can, let me try plus C or plus K maybe. Sorry. Yeah, there it is, yes. So you see, that's the difference between the two. The previous case, which I shown, that even if I put a space, it says it's wrong answer. Now it knows that C or K are constants, and this is as good an answer as with plus C. How does this work? In this case, we are using a special plugin in Moodle. The plugin is called Stack. So I'll go back to my slides now. So what we do is, to make these fill in the blanks question work, we have to make our learning management system understand the input mathematically. And then, of course, there is the point how students learn the symbolic expressions properly, and how the marking is done, and how the feedback is done. All these things, of course. The first step is the Stack plugin. Well, for this case, I'm using Stack plugin. It works with Moodle, or there's another learning management system, Ilias. It works with both. So for example, in my case, I have a personal VPS server, the one which I'm running, this one. This is a VPS server. This is my website. On this VPS server, I've installed Moodle as a learning management system. Within Moodle, I've installed a plugin called Stack, but that's not it. Stack is only this interface. If I show you to edit the question, this interface, the one allows me to add the question. What are my random variables? What is my question text? What is my feedback? What are my answers and everything? This whole long, very daunting form, that is Stack. But then Stack sends its answer to a computer algebra system. Computer algebra system knows the mathematics. Computer algebra systems is a very common term we use for softwares, those who can calculate, perform symbolic calculations at their own. For example, examples on the screen you see, there is an equation given, then I give the command solve the equation, and computer algebra system gives me the answer 3 and 4. So it understands what is meant by solve a quadratic equation. The left-hand side is Maxima, computer algebra system. The right-hand side is MATLAB. This one is Mathematica or Wolfram Alpha, you can say. Then there's CAS GeoGebra. So there are many computer algebra systems out there in the world. And very interestingly, they date back to very past. They date back to 1960s, actually. The first computer algebra system, Reduce, it was started in 1960s. Maxima, the one I've just mentioned, Maxima is the one running behind Stack, and then so on. These are all computer algebra systems. These softwares understand mathematics. The programming is done in them so that they can understand mathematics. So what we do is we connect this Stack with Maxima behind the scene in the server end, and then Stack can send the answers to Maxima. Stack asks Maxima whether this question, 1/5 sine 5x plus k, is equivalent, algebraic equivalent of plus c. Maxima says, yes, it is algebraic equivalent of plus c. So can I accept this as a correct answer? Yes, you can accept this as a correct answer. So that's how we can ask such questions. Now this improves and increases the horizon. We can ask anything now, anything in math, almost anything. Of course, there will be some limitations of the computer algebra system still there. Now, let's see. Now we come to the feedback. The one I've shown you already. I'll show you again with another question.
Dr. Hassan, just to notify you, few minutes are left.
I'll take hopefully 10 to 15, inshallah.
No, now almost 20 minutes, 19 minutes almost.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, please.
I'll try to make it faster now.
Inshallah.
I need 2 points to make the main ones.
Inshallah.
Right. So thank you, Dr. Vasan. This one, now the second question which I raised is the feedback. If we use multiple choice questions, then we cannot type feedback with every question. But in this case, if I'm using a random question, as Dr. Amir mentioned, this one again, we can randomize questions. Every student will see a different question, at least part of it, like numbers different, even functions different with the same setting. So this question, let me just correct fill response to save sign. And now we submit and finish. So this question, the power is 1/7. And this is our feedback. With power 1/7, we have solved the question with details, the whole story. Let me regenerate the question, same question, and I'm hoping that the power will be different this time. Although random number generator, yeah, power is 1/4 this time, not 1/7. So different students will get different powers, different versions of the same question. But that's the most important part is here. Now we are giving the feedback and we have solved the question with 1/4 power this time with detailed steps. But as a matter of fact, if we go into the question and have a look at the question, how it is prepared, we have given only one feedback. Here it is. Every time the feedback updates according to the random variables selected for the question. The random variables displayed for the student in the question, same variables are used to generate the feedback. So that is very interesting. We do not have to write the feedback for every single student separately. We write it once, every student gets a specific dedicated feedback every single attempt. So that's a very amazing thing in this software. Second thing which I wanted to show you is, yes, there is an example. I have randomized functions. I'll quickly show you this example. This one, x -1, y -1, I got on the first attempt. Let me try again. Same function, same question. Now I've got cos x and cos y. So even not only numbers we can replace randomly, we can even select functions randomly. So I've given a string of functions in this case. So out of that string of functions, it is copying random functions to generate different questions. Next thing, which is actually the primary and the most important thing in this whole story, it is called possible response tree. When we mark a question, I'll quickly show you one slide. Yes, here it is. When we mark a question, there is a question on the screen, x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. One student does it correctly with -7 as b and answers 3, 4. The other student chooses +7 by mistake and gets the answers -3, -4. Now, the only mistake in the question is that minus. Well, it can be pen slip. If I give these two questions to 10 faculty members and ask them to mark, I am sure almost all 10 will give different marks to the incorrect question. All 10. Because we have a bias, natural bias, when we mark these questions. Some will say, no, it's totally wrong, and they will give a 0. There is a possibility. Some might say, no, well, the student has the knowledge, and they'll give some marks for that. Now, this problem, and along with, so let's see our next question here. Right. 4/5 divided by 2/7, a very simple question. And what I do is I just simply multiply the numerators and the denominators, and that's it. I forgot to flip the second one and submit and finish. Now, as I said, because at the background, there is a computer algebra system who knows mathematics, it seems you have forgotten to swap the numerator and denominator. That is the most interesting thing here. The computer algebra system, with the help of this, telling the student exactly what the mistake is, even with the fill in the blank question. The system understands the mistake. So it is running this through the system and finding out what is the possible mistake here. Of course, we have set it up in the question already, this possibility. If we see in the question, there is a section called PRT, possible response tree. And if we go in there, it's loading internet. Yeah, so there it is. There are two legs of the tree. The second one is testing what mistake is made. So now I'm trying to guess. As a teacher, I'm trying to guess what are the possible mistakes in a question. Generally, we know, we are all teachers, we know that in mathematics, 95% cases, there are very common mistakes which we as a teacher we know already. If we can address those 95% mistakes, that almost covers everybody. So in this case, I have covered one mistake, which is of course the most probable one in this case, and we have given a very specific feedback for our students, and that can help much more. I'll keep my browser below the, yeah, so that I can control. Okay, right. Let's see quickly, because now I'm running short of time. I'll show you directly this one with the, yeah. Well, okay, yeah, this is almost the same. Actually wanted to show this one. Added question. Yeah. So this question, let's go and see the possible response tree for this one. It is loading. Please bear with me a second. Right. Now look at this possible response tree. Very amazing. Now it is going to check four possible mistakes in this question. That almost covers the whole spectrum. So a student makes a mistake in minus, a student differentiates rather than integrates, a student finds, the question is about maxima minima in calculus. So a student forgets to differentiate the constant, and many, you can, even you can go further. Now, that's one thing which is very interesting. The second thing, if you can see, on each leg of the tree, we have equals 0 or equals 0. Well, in this case, because these are the demo questions, so we have not set any penalties. But if we go further down, it allows to set penalties, very specific penalties. For example, if you look at the feedback, this, if you can read, you have made a sign error. So the only mistake is of the plus or minus. So we give a, let's say, 0.2 penalty. Now, this penalty will be same across the board. Even if you are testing 1,000 students, it will be the same penalty for the same error. Now we can answer this question, why our personal bias, which comes into the marking of an incorrect answer. Now, if we go to this one, that bias can be answered here. We can go to every single possible response and then fix a penalty. And that penalty will be applied despite across the board. So this is real beauty of this software. And yeah, okay, I'm short of time, otherwise I would have solved it, but I'll quickly show you
Dr.
one
Hassan,
thing.
I think we only have 1 minute left.
Okay, 1 minute, enough.
I'm very generous with you. I gave you more than the time, so please conclude in 1 minute to have the questions from the participants. Thank you.
Just 2 quick questions I'll show, and then I'll finish. This one, we can get a step-by-step answer for a question, not only one fill in the blank. Let me fill the correct responses. Of course, our students will need very small amount of training for this one. This is very easier than LaTeX, submit and finish, you see, step by step, and it will mark each single step separately. I'm a little out of time, otherwise I've shown you that if the second step is incorrect, it will mark that the second step only is the incorrect, the rest are correct, according to the student's first mistake. So that is a very amazing thing. One last thing, which I am hoping to get a question, that in case if our students are not trained for putting the responses into typing responses into the fill in the blanks, this system also supports multiple choice questions like boxes or anything. And interestingly, these multiple choice questions, not only like standard multiple choice questions, fixed multiple choices. This question is taking, if I'm not sure if it will show very properly here, there is a string of questions, functions. It is selecting 4 options at random out of those 6, maybe 7, maybe. So this improves the quality of the question. It improves practice for students. So even when it comes to multiple choice, this system is one step ahead of others. You can give 7 options. It will choose randomly 4, still knowing which one is the correct. Well, 1 correct and 3 incorrect distractors. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for your time and for your bearing with me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ihsan, for sharing another way for the assessment. And even if it is only particular for mathematics or equation-based questions.
Sorry to interrupt you. It is used for engineering, very widely used for engineering, basic sciences, chemistry, physics, biology, even, and engineering in particular.
So really, anyone or any course with equations and stuff like that can benefit from this platform. So now the floor is to our dear participants, attendees. If you have any question, please write it in the chat box or in Q&A. If you have any, please. Personally, I have one question. What about the performance of the students when you test or when you conduct tests with these tools? You see an improvement of the marks of the students, because now it's not giving entire question as wrong. So here partially they got some marks, right?
Yes, doctor, here, because it's not official, I have used it as an unofficial, as a support software only. And secondly, because our students are a little hesitant in typing into the blanks. So mostly I've used multiple choice questions here. But I have observed those students who did practice questions on this platform, they performed better than others. But of course, this is a choice thing because we don't have this official. I'm only using it as a practice.
Great. But you see, you saw the difference.
Yes,
the improvement,
clear difference, yes. And I'm sure if we can, if we could someday, once I'm hoping that next semester we'll know what we are using Blackboard or Moodle. This one can be installed, could be installed in Moodle. So if we could use it on a larger scale and we'll test it, and I'm sure that it will help our students very much, very much.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Dr. Ihsan, for the wonderful and informative presentation. Now, last but not least, وختامها مسك, as we say in Arabic.
Dr. Amir has asked a quick question. Please, if I may answer.
Okay, yeah, I see it now.
Dr. Amir, it's Stack. I'll write in the chat. Stack is the plugin. The plugin will install normal, like you install any plugin in Moodle from the plugins directory of Moodle. But then on your server, you will have to install separately Maxima, and then connect the both. There is a manual given on the Stack page, and then connect both using a little bit of modification in the from the command line of the Maxima. And then once they start speaking with each other, then they do their thing.
Dr. Ihsan, I think there is a last question also from Dr. Sankar about if you can give a personalized feedback to the MCQs as well.
As well, yes. But again, as I said, this software is mainly intended for the fill in the blank kind of input. So it is easier to use with that. Again, with the multiple choice, you will have to give either the general feedback, which displays at the end of the question, or if you want to go with the step-by-step feedback, like with the individual options, then it could be a little bit hectic, less hectic than the previous one, but still a little bit more than as compared to the fill in the blank ones. But you can give, yes, of course you can give.
Okay, that's great, Doctor. Thank you very much for your valuable answers as well. Thank you very much, Dr. Ihsan. As I said, last but not least, and وختامها مسك also, I would like to invite Dr. Hazim Al-Bermani to speak to us about the best practices in the assessment and evaluation of e-learning. Dr. Hazim from Turku University of Applied Sciences in Finland. He is a senior lecturer and a coordinator of the innovation project at the Turku University of Applied Sciences in Finland. He has a very rich experience in mathematics as well, and a PhD also in applied mathematics. So I think his presentation will speak about himself, and the floor is yours, Dr. Hazim, to tell us about the best practices, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for having me in here. My name is Hazim Al-Bermani, and I am from Finland. Originally, I'm Iraqi, and I'm a senior lecturer in university, the Turku University of Applied Science. My main topic, major topic, I'm a mathematician. I have a PhD in math, as Dr. Wasa said. And also, I'm a coordinator for the innovation project course. Dr. Ihsan has given a nice presentation about the assessment and evaluation for mathematics. Well, he said that it has been used, can be used for engineering and some other sciences, which is okay, I agree with him. But this is just an example. So I have chosen to give a best practice assessment and evaluation in general. And can you see my slides? Is it clear there?
It's clear. It's clear.
Okay. All right. So, you know, selecting assessment method or activities is quite a powerful way. Why we need that kind of assessment? Why we need first the evaluation and the assessment is to achieve learning outcome and to check its kind of measurements for the learning for the students, you know, to check how much they are learning out of your lessons. And also to make sure that the course is finished. And also not just finished, it's understandable. They have learned out of that. They can show the outcomes in there. And also to reach your goals. And what is going to be, let's say, the instructor goals is to have a successful course and valuable also. But how should someone design assessment in online learning? By the way, thanks to COVID, that because of it, we have learned a lot of methods, learn how to give an online lessons. In the beginning, when I had been asked to give an online lessons before the COVID, I didn't know how to do that. I just, because we have a studio in here in our university, so I went to the studio, I recorded the lecture in there and put it in one side of our university in there, and then asking the student to check the video in there. And to be honest, in there, I failed to know the reaction. I failed to know whether my lesson was useful or useless. Also, I didn't know whether this material is suitable and understandable because I have no reaction from the students. And because of the COVID, we have learned to give an online lessons in many different ways. We have a team, for example, through the team with very good computers using the board and our computers and pen, pencil, we use it, we can able to draw. Dr. Hassan knows that we need that in mathematics and show that also. We can open the camera for the student to check the reaction of them and, you know, knowing them questions and things like that for, and then we have Zoom, and Zoom, it's even maybe better than Teams because Zoom, it's used for high number of students, is even can be used more than 300 or 400 students. And we are surviving. We have learned how to give online lessons, but still we have an ambition to know the assessment and to be fairly by evaluating the students. So how should someone design assessment in online learning? Speaking about the assessment for online courses, most of the teachers, instructor, educator provide a final exam. And then they said, okay, by the final exam, I will know and I will measure the level of the students, how they done in the course, if they have done bad or good, things like that, and give a grade out of the exam at the end of the course. And passing scores, you know, this is how to do it. Oh, this is a good one, but is it we call it enough? You know, it's just the exam. The exam can be done with that, but it's not a real measurement, a real assessment. And I would say it's not enough. Probably not. Assessment work best. It's ongoing, not accidental. Okay, what do I mean by ongoing? So you need to have that kind of assessment in each lecture that you give. Knowing the reaction of the students, checking with the students, given in math, for example, as Dr. Hassan says, in there we have, he has special software program in there showing the grades in that. But for example, if you have, we call it in here the innovation project course, which is a teamwork for a group of students doing special type of project. And we have, for example, in our course, like we have it in here in Turkos, about 43 projects for more than 430 students, because 10 students in each team. How we are going to assessment? How is it going to be, the exams are going to be enough or not? I think it's not. So how to deal with it? You need to have a lot of ways through a program, like for example, team that we have in there, the meetings, and with the meetings, open cameras, explaining things, explain how the project process goes, what is the type of difficulties they have, you know, how we going to help them, what kind of component they need for the project, all of these things. And we call it ongoing assessment. It's not just a stop by the end of the course, okay, go and do the project, and when we're going to do the exam. This is not going to be work like that. So it works maybe for math, but doesn't work for all of the kind of studies, especially into the engineering area, engineering sector, that there are some practical work that need to be done, and we need to assess that kind of practical work, and we need to keep assessing that. We need to keep evaluating that. So, as I said, accidental assessment doesn't work fine. We need an ongoing assessment. Into this ongoing, you need you will be able to show the student their progress, how they do, and you know, giving a feedback to the students quite helpful for them also. Okay, if they do something into a project, okay, that's okay. You can continue with that way, but please check this one and check that one, giving a feedback, giving assist, evaluate the work and give an assessment. This is very good way to achieve the final goal. What is the importance and value of online assessment, the e-learning process? I would call that assessment is the most important aspect for the instructor, for the teacher. Because with the assessment, and especially the one, you know that students, if they are on the right track or they are not, they are going to achieve the goals in the end or not. And also, you can specify the help that you need to provide it to the students. What kind of assessment, what kind of help, what kind of, things that they need to get back to the right track. If they are, just missing the way, or sometimes you need to encourage them. Encouragement is important. Encourage the students to be in, to keep that a good level that they are doing. So assessment is the most important aspect, I would say. Also identify an area, when you tell them that, okay, you're going to identify the area of excellence, of the good work, of the bad work, of the mid one, these things, when you identify them, students will be encouraged. And you can, as a teacher or as an educator, plan what kind of activities they need, students need for the near future. Okay, as Dr. Hassan says, if they are, able to solve the equation of the first degree. So in there, by next step, the next activities, it will be solving an equation of the second degree, a quadratic equation. So because they done the first one, so they are able to do the next one. It's very easy to identify the future activities. Assessment, it's important, and it's equally important for both the learner and the students. The learner and the educator. Students need the assessment to be able to know in which level they are, what kind of education or what kind of knowledge they need for the future. Is it possible to continue at that level, or you need a high level or something like that? The educator need to know the students, what kind of students do I have? Does that one deserve grade 1, grade 2, things like that, based on the grading, and also offering the help for the students. If students doesn't know anything about solving the equations, so it is nonsense to give a trigonometric equation to be solved, because he doesn't know what is the solution for linear equation. So to give equation, trigonometric equation need to be solved. That is, something insane. It's not suitable at all. So that's why the assessment is quite useful for the educator. For the project works in there, if the students are just, starting with doing, a basic plan of the project, and now you're asking them to build a prototype, or, just to give, for example, pitch about your project. How can they give a pitch about the project if they don't know what kind of plan into the project they have? So they need to first build a plan and then move to the second step. And knowing that it's related to the educator and the students themselves. Then structure need to, teacher and instructor need to ask what I'm going to evaluate into the assessment, what I'm going to evaluate. Is it the exam, only the exam based on the exam and just give points to in the exam? Is that enough? Or is that all? Do I need to do something more? What I'm going to do to evaluate level of the learning for the students, how much they learn, or how much they write on the paper, or what? Second question, how will I measure that? First, I need to identify and then measure it. And knowing the evidence of the goal that I have in my mind is very important for the assessment. So teacher need to ask him or herself these questions to build a plan for assessment strongly. This is an important thing. Feedback, providing feedback for the learner. And it is very important. And it is, I would say, you can't do the assessment without knowing the feedback. Feedback is important. Knowing the feedback from the learners is very important. And it's going to be somehow, you know, the feedback and the assessment is going to be guidance for the student learning level. And also for grading, I mean, giving grade to the students or grading process to the student. So course should look like this one here, and I just took this one from our innovation project course. In the beginning, you start with the student motivation. You need to motivate your students. You need to make them ready to get this knowledge from you, and then keep the students engaged, keep them busy, especially the online courses. You have to keep them busy, and you know, when you're keeping them busy, they are going to achieve something. They are going to gain some knowledge. They are going to learn new things, and with that, you need also to give ongoing assessment. It's not on one level, on one part, on one period. No, but just has to be continuation in there. With the assessment, you need a feedback. So it has to be an ongoing feedback. So the course, online course, should look like this one in here. Student motivation, engagement, and then ongoing assessment, then ongoing feedback. This is also the math courses can be a good example of this one in here. A good example of that one. And of course, this teamwork project work and some courses related to the teamwork is very suitable to have it like this one here. What is the best way to give feedback? Exams and quiz provide immediate feedback to the students. With the exam or the quizzes is quite easy to check, and this is can be quite direct feedback. However, the most effective type of feedback for improving learning should be directly related to your learning style, how you are going to teach, and how they are going to learn, the students. On this one, it's not going to be, you know, given in general. It has to be individually. Some, you know, level of the students, level of getting the knowledge for students is different from one to another, and you need to deal with that. It's not just go to the class, for example, or just, you know, open Zoom, for example, and give a lesson, and you are expecting all of these students, you know, are understanding what you are going to say and understanding what you are going to give. No, it's not like that. They are level for the students, and these levels need to be concerned. You know, what kind of level? How I'm going to deal with, for example, one person to another one. this one is, this student is known as a very clever one. Okay, that's okay. But how about this one serving low level of getting things? So these things are need to deal with, and feedback is very important to do that. And what kind of feedback? We call it meaningful feedback, is when your student have to comment on assignments. I have seen one of the slides that Dr. Hassan was shown in there. They show some, there is a comments in there, comments that, you know, based on the topic that you have, it is very important. So students, if they give a comments, okay, they will tell you, okay, this question is quite difficult to understand, and this question is, you know, something is complicated, and things like that. You know, these comments are quite useful. We call it meaningful feedback, and this help you to give the right topics to the right person, right information to the right people. Assessment practice for online courses. What is the best way to apply and integrate of your course material? Here is a practical guide of how can create assessment. We have in there 4 points, and we always take these in our consideration when we build an online course. First, link your assessment with the course, with the courses, and it's going to be part of the learning objectives. Add the assessment in every part of your online course. How should I form my questions? You need to have that kind of question. You need to ask yourself how that kind of questions, you know. And by this question, you will be able to build a very concrete method of assessment. Always you need to have self-evaluation. Self-evaluation for you as an instructor, and also give an opportunity to the students to have a self-evaluation, not just peer evaluation. Self-evaluation is very important. That will make the students know about him or herself, what kind, for example, of grade he or she deserves based on this one. Give them that opportunity, you know, and know how they think about themselves. With these points, 4 points in there, I will finish my presentation about about assessment in general. And thank you very much for listening, and I'm ready to answer any questions. And as I said, this kind of this presentation, it's based on a project course, and especially the innovation project course, which I'm coordinating here in Turku University of Applied Science. Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Hazim. Thank you very much, Dr. Hazim, for your presentation. And the last point about it is a real experience, actually, based on a course. So the floor for our colleagues for any questions, please. Through the chat window or Q&A window, please. I have one question, Dr. Hazim. What about how you implement the feedback from the learners? Because also, as you say, this is one of the elements that we have to take care of.
Usually, in our innovation project course, we are preparing a survey, and we call it web profile survey. Mostly, we use that and give it out to the student, asking them to answer it with special kind of questions related to the topics For example, if we have in the middle, we have a topic called a project plan, how to build a plan in there. So based on that topic, we create some kind of questions, and then we get the feedback out of it through questionnaire, mainly.
Before or after the assessment? Because it makes a difference, actually.
It has to be before.
Okay. And then what about the assessment? There is any feedback from the students about the assessment afterwards?
The assessment, you know, it's, I have a matrix of the assessment. I hope that I can find it in there. I will just give me a few seconds to go through the assessment. We have too many ways of assessment, and I'll show you just the final one. Okay, I'm just trying to get into the course in here. Yeah. Let me just share what we're doing in there for the, okay. So this is, you know, this is the course in there. What we have in there, this is an online course in there. We put a few in there. For example, this is working hour template. This is.
Sorry, Dr. Hazim, you already showed the old presentation.
Oh, sorry. Let me share it again. Now, so
it shows now. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So now for this one, for example, this Excel sheet in there, it's working hours. This is meant to be for each student, and he or she is going to list the working hours, you know, in here, and write your number right there, and then we check how much they are spending time working on the project. So this is one of the, you know, just checking the work, and this is kind of, I'd call it feedback, not assessment, because this is from the students comes. And wait a minute, let me check in the, okay, this is the capstone evaluation or the assessment. In here, and this is, we call it, you know, peer evaluation. This is only one part. This is the template for the peer evaluation. Students put the member into the project in here and grade your friends or the students in your that based on these, attending group meeting, activate, and these things, you know, we have chosen that one and give a grade. And this is also part of the assessment that we have it there, because that it need to be considered when you give the final evaluation. But this is peer and self-evaluation. Okay. And this is for the assessment. Based on these things, we are give the final assessment. So I would, let me download it. Okay, now these things need to be evaluated in capstone. Attending a group meeting, willing, accept, sign task, contribution, complete work, and these things, you know. And in here, we give in University of Turkey, we have grading from 0 is fail in the course, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Highest is 5, lowest is 1, and 0 is fail. So based on these things, for example, student who are going to get 0, student has not contributed to grouping, student has not held other when it's needed, and some other things, you know. And to get grade 1 and 2.
Clear. That's very clear, Dr. Hazim, and sorry for interrupting you because
No,
already
no,
we
right.
run out of
Okay.
time, and I really appreciate your presentation and how it shows. That's really great. Thank you very much, Dr. Hazim, for the presentation. And I think now my role is over, and I give back the mic to Miss Asia to conclude. Thank you very much for your attendance. I would like to thank all of our colleagues, the presenters, and all the attendees. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wassim. Finally, would like to wrap up this fruitful workshop by thanking, of course, all of those who contributed in making it a big success. Special thanks go to Dr. Awad Al-Ma'mari, the Dean, Dr. Hilal Al-Maqbali, the Dean Assistant, for the support and for the continued cooperation. Also, a big thank you also goes to Dr. Hassan Al-Haq, the head of the e-learning committee in the University of Technology and Applied Sciences in Sohar. Of course, this event wouldn't be successful without the valuable talks delivered by our speakers. So thank you so much for that. And of course, thanks a lot for the attendees. So we hope that you get the most benefit of this workshop. And thank you again for everybody, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much.